In 1997, a man walked into a bookstore carrying his last $20. His friends thought he was irresponsible. After all, $20 could buy lunch. It could buy comfort. It could buy a brief escape from reality. Instead, he bought a book. Curious, isn't it? How often the world mistakes information for an expense. Most people spend their lives searching for opportunities. A promotion, a business idea, a lucky break. What they rarely realize is that opportunity rarely hides. Information does. And the people who consistently find themselves ahead in life are often not the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented. They're simply the first to see what others overlook. The world has always rewarded information, long before it rewarded money. Consider two people standing in the same city, holding the same amount of cash, with access to the same opportunities. One quietly builds a fortune. The other spends years wondering why nothing changes. What creates the difference? Not intelligence, not luck, not even hard work. More often than people would like to admit, it's perspective, the ability to recognize value before everyone else notices it. And that ability almost always begins with information. Information has a fascinating characteristic. Unlike money, it can be acquired before you're wealthy. Unlike status, it doesn't require permission. Unlike opportunity, it doesn't need to find you. Yet despite being one of the most powerful assets in existence, most people consistently underestimate it. Because the human mind has a peculiar weakness. It prefers things it can see. A new phone feels valuable. A luxury car feels valuable. A higher salary feels valuable. Information often feels invisible, at least until it changes everything. This creates one of the most expensive mistakes people make. They judge information by what it does today, instead of what it becomes tomorrow. Imagine someone spending 30 minutes every day learning about business, psychology, investing, or human behavior. A week passes, nothing changes. A month passes, still nothing. The world offers no applause, no visible reward, no dramatic transformation. Most people quit right there. Not because learning failed, because their brains expected immediate evidence. And immediate evidence is one of the most addictive things in human nature. We crave proof. We crave certainty. We crave results. But life's greatest advantages are often invisible while they're forming. Then one day, they become impossible to ignore. The person who spent years learning suddenly appears knowledgeable. The entrepreneur who studied trends suddenly looks lucky. The investor who understood a shift before everyone else suddenly looks like a genius. The outcome becomes visible. The information that created it remains hidden. That's why success often appears mysterious from a distance. People see the reward. They miss the years of accumulated perspective behind it. And perhaps that's the greatest misunderstanding about wealth. People believe money creates advantage. In reality, money often amplifies an advantage that already existed. Because information doesn't merely change what you know, it changes what you notice. And what you notice shapes your decisions. Every decision influences your future, which means information quietly influences your future long before anyone can see the results. The most successful people understand something that others often overlook. The modern world is overflowing with information. But information alone is worthless. Knowledge becomes valuable only when it changes behavior. A person can consume endless books, videos, and advice and remain exactly where they are. Another can discover a single insight and build an entirely different life. The difference isn't access, it's application. That's why the information advantage isn't reserved for geniuses. It belongs to people who consistently transform knowledge into action. Small actions, repeated over time, quietly altering the trajectory of their lives. And perhaps that's the most important lesson of all. The greatest opportunities rarely announce themselves. They arrive disguised as information. A book most people ignore. An idea dismissed by the crowd. A perspective that seems insignificant today. The people who learn to recognize these moments gain something far more valuable than money. They gain the ability to see differently. And once you begin seeing differently, the world itself begins to look different. Because information doesn't just change your future. It changes what you're capable of becoming.